Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're embarking on an epic journey, not across oceans, but across a vast continent. We're diving into one of the most defining chapters of American history, the Great Westward Expansion. This wasn't just a simple move, it was a monumental migration that reshaped a nation and forged its identity in the crucible of the wild frontier. So, what sparked this massive movement? It wasn't just one thing. In the early 19th century, the United States was a young, bustling nation, mostly clustered along the Atlantic coast. But beyond the Appalachian Mountains lay a seemingly endless expanse of land, a place of myth and promise. The Louisiana Purchase in 1803 was a game changer. It literally doubled the size of the country overnight, opening up a vast territory that fired the imaginations of millions. People heard tales of fertile valleys, abundant resources, and the ultimate prize, the chance to own your own land and build a new life from scratch. This idea, this dream of a fresh start, became a powerful magnet pulling people west. This pull was amplified by a concept that would define the era: manifest destiny. This was the popular belief that it was America's divine mission, its obvious destiny, to expand its dominion and spread democracy and capitalism across the entire North American continent. It was a powerful and, let's be honest, controversial idea that justified the relentless push westward. It painted the expansion not just as an opportunity, but as a patriotic and spiritual duty. Of course, it wasn't just about ideals. There were very practical reasons drawing people west. The East was getting crowded. Farmland was becoming scarce and expensive. For many, the West offered an escape from economic hardship. Then, in 1848, a carpenter named James W. Marshall spotted something shiny in a riverbed in California. Gold! The California gold rush was like pouring gasoline on a fire. The news spread like wildfire, and a flood of 49ers from all corners of the globe descended upon California, all hoping to strike it rich. This single event dramatically accelerated the settlement of the West Coast. So, who were these pioneers? They were a diverse bunch. They were farmers from Ohio looking for more fertile soil, merchants from New York seeking new markets, and immigrants from Ireland and Germany escaping poverty and persecution. They were Mormons seeking a refuge where they could practice their faith freely, eventually settling in the harsh but beautiful landscape of Utah. They were adventurers, dreamers, and desperate families, all sharing a common hope for a better future. Now, let's talk about the journey itself. It was anything but a scenic road trip. The primary highways of the time were trails, not roads: the Oregon Trail, the California Trail, the Santa Fe Trail. These were rugged, unforgiving paths stretching over 2,000 miles. A typical journey in a covered wagon, often called a prairie schooner, could take anywhere from 4 to 6 months. Think about that. Half a year of your life spent slowly plodding across prairies, deserts, and mountains. Families would pack all their worldly possessions into a wagon that was barely the size of a modern minivan. They had to be incredibly strategic about what they brought. Tools, seeds, cooking pots, a few cherished heirlooms, and enough food to last. The wagons were usually pulled by oxen or mules, animals chosen for their endurance, not their speed. The pioneers walked alongside their wagons for most of the day to spare the animals, covering about 10 to 15 miles on a good day. The challenges were immense. They faced unpredictable weather, blistering summer heat on the plains, and early winter snows in the mountains that could be a death sentence, as the tragic story of the Donner Party reminds us. Disease was a constant threat. Cholera, spread by contaminated water, was the biggest killer on the trails. Accidents were common: a child falling from a wagon, a mishandled firearm, or a river crossing gone wrong could all end in tragedy. And then there was the landscape itself. Imagine trying to get a heavy wagon across a raging river with no bridge, or navigating a steep, rocky mountain pass. The sheer physical and mental toll was staggering. Yet, amidst the hardship, a unique culture formed on the trail. Pioneers traveled in large wagon trains for mutual protection and support. They'd circle the wagons at night, creating a makeshift fort. They'd share resources, help each other with repairs, and form deep bonds forged in shared struggle. It was a community on the move, a rolling microcosm of society. Now, we can't talk about westward expansion without addressing a crucial and complex part of the story: its impact on Native American populations. The lands the pioneers saw as empty and unclaimed had been home to hundreds of distinct Native American tribes for thousands of years. For them, the arrival of settlers was not an expansion, it was an invasion. The relationship between settlers and Native Americans was complicated, ranging from peaceful trade and cautious cooperation to outright conflict. As more and more settlers poured in, they disrupted traditional ways of life. They hunted the bison, a vital resource for many plains tribes, to near extinction. They fenced off land, blocking ancient migration routes. The government's policy was often one of removal, forcing tribes onto reservations through treaties that were frequently broken. This led to a series of tragic conflicts known as the American Indian Wars. Events like the Battle of the Little Big Horn, where Lakota, Cheyenne, and Arapaho warriors defeated Custer's 7th Cavalry, were stunning victories for the tribes, but they were ultimately temporary. The sheer numbers of settlers and the might of the U.S. military were overwhelming. The forced marches, the loss of land, and the destruction of their culture is a dark and painful chapter in this story, one that is essential to remember and understand. As the pioneers settled, they began to transform the West. They built sod houses on the treeless prairies, plowed the tough grassland, and started farms. Mining towns sprang up overnight wherever gold or silver was found, booming with saloons, general stores, and a rough-and-tumble brand of justice. Cowboys, another iconic figure of the West, drove massive herds of cattle from Texas up to the new railroads that were beginning to snake across the continent. The Transcontinental Railroad, completed in 1869, was the final nail in the coffin of the old frontier. It linked the East and west coasts, turning a 6-month wagon journey into a week-long train ride. It brought a new flood of settlers, supplies, and industry, effectively taming the Wild West and connecting it firmly to the rest of the nation. By 1890, the U.S. Census Bureau declared that a continuous frontier line no longer existed. The era of westward expansion was officially over. The legacy of this epic journey is all around us. It shaped the American character, emphasizing ideals of rugged individualism, self-reliance, and relentless optimism. It also left a legacy of conflict, dispossession, and environmental change that we are still grappling with today. The story of the American West is a story of incredible courage, ambition, and endurance. It's a story of dreams fulfilled and dreams broken. It's a complex, multifaceted epic that is woven into the very fabric of the United States. It's a powerful reminder of how a nation was built, not just with laws and politics, but with the sweat, blood, and unwavering hope of ordinary people who dared to journey into the unknown. Thanks for joining me on this incredible historical trek. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring the bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the past. Let me know in the comments what part of this story fascinates you the most. Until next time, stay curious.